Well, whether you are on your healing journey or if you're in your delusion, sometimes you can get lost in your way, which brings us to our next song, Lost, as well as the music
I see
video.
what you did there. I see what you did
Not
there.
written down at
That was
all.
a
I just came
fabulous
up with that.
segue.
Thank you.
I see what you did there.
So Lost, which is actually our title track, helped written by Kim Hanju, Nancy Boy. I believe this is pronounced J Cleft. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Mar London? It's like Mar Mar and then LDN. I apologize. Unsickable, Kima Il, RM, Sanyan, and Junkyard. Hopefully, y'all understand when I said at the beginning, you'll recognize 3 names in this whole album. Have you picked it up by now? But anyway, it is a fast tempo alternative pop genre. And Kim Han-ju, who is actually part of the band Silica Gel, participated in the composition. And I know they also did like a performance of this on their own that's on YouTube. I'll probably add that in the description if people haven't seen it yet. But RM delivers a message of hope that if you get lost with your friends, it might be okay too. I know in Mini Money, when Jimin like heard it, he actually just had a lot of questions. He also compared this to Epix High's song Music featuring K Will, which I never heard before, but I went to go listen to it and I can hear it off of the very bad 2000 or like 2008 video quality that I can find on YouTube. But in the sense of like musicality, I could hear it. Um, I know Namjoon had also said that this song ended up becoming the title track because it expresses a time when he was feeling really lost, and he also thinks like it's the best song that represents the album as a whole. And in like the YouTube thing, this is also where Namjoon expressed that he was going through, something very difficult for a year and a half, well, a year and 3 months, where he felt like it was dramatic to the point where like something was happening to him every day, and this is also where it caused him to like kind of be distant from the members physically, not mentally. And he made sure to like preference that like hard, that like I wasn't away from you guys, like I wasn't thinking about you or didn't seem like I didn't care. I just needed to like kind of figure things out on my own. And when it comes to the music video itself, so like I didn't know this music video was filmed in Romania. So I actually had found a YouTube video from like Euronews in Romania, and they were interviewing the creative director. I'm gonna butcher this name again, apologize. Ona Maria. I never heard Romania until I watched that, so I don't know how to pronounce her last name. It's like Yurachich. I don't know. I apologize. But anyway, she talked about working with Namjoon on the music video. And they also interviewed 4 Romanian armies, and they talked about like their love for BTS, Namjoon, the album. It's actually really cute. And of course, like they hope BTS one day when they come back can go over to Romania and like perform a concert over there. So yeah, and then like the whole preference of the music videos, literally us just like seeing the inside of Namjoon's brain, especially like the characters that he has with him. They are different parts of like his personality. I know the one girl, I forgot her name, I apologize, with the really long hair, she was supposed to be like the confident side of Namjoon. I don't know what Namjoon was supposed to be like himself, but they're all basically just like him. And even the host, because I think Gina brought this up as well. You can tell the hosts are also supposed to be a part of him, because when they go back from like the Korean to the English, I also feel like that's like a representation physically of like Namjoon as a person in this goofy side with the Indian man, and then like Namjoon, the BTS like leader, where he has to be like stoic and strict and then like put together in the music video. I saw those 2 comparisons as well. This song definitely grew on me because at first, I mean, the music video when I first watched it, like I was dying, okay? Like I couldn't breathe. It was actually very funny, and I really appreciated that, especially my reaction that we'll talk about later to come back to me if I can. I don't know if I will. I may end up crying. I'm just gonna say that. So it was a nice change to that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I go around my room a lot singing, I got temptation. So it's stuck in my head. Whoever wants to go.
Hey, Drunky, what did you think of this one when you were drunk?
You did not just call.
I know,
drunky.
right? Drunky.
That's okay. just being just the character defamation is just not going to be tolerated. No, I think that, I was intoxicated when I saw the video. So first of all, I felt like I was in an episode of Black Mirror. There's also a movie that I mentioned, but I cannot for the life of me think of what I said when I said it. Well, do you remember what I said?
Were you the one who talked about Roger Rabbit? Was that Gina?
That was me.
That wasn't me.
That was Gina.
No, that was
okay.
her.
She said it reminded her of Roger Rabbit.
I can't remember what I said it was. It's an older movie. A lot of people are comparing it to like Being John Malkovich a little bit, just like in being inside of his own head or whatever. But there's another movie I just cannot for the life of me think of what it's called. It doesn't matter. I don't know. Like, I think that the video was very experimental, obviously. Like, there was a lot of well, first of all, I'll be honest, the claymation creeped me out. I hate claymation. I don't care what it is. Love Namjoon. Hate claymation. It makes me physically want to like run away. So I've never seen.
I don't mind claymation.
I don't like it.
Puppets,
I don't know why I don't like it. I just don't like it. But I mean, it was cute. But I was like, okay, look, it's kind of like that and clowns both have the same effect with me. I don't like clowns either. So it was like, okay, I can deal with it for a few seconds. It's fine, whatever. But no, I think first of all, a lot of people are like comparing it to the whole album in general has been compared to Tyler the Creator, which I don't think is the drag that people think it is. Because like Tyler the Creator's Igor album is a very critically acclaimed album on his roster. So if anything, he's in good company. But you can't help what you're influenced by or just the things that you take from, not take as a way of like plagiarizing, but just like what your inspirations are. You can't help that. They are your inspirations. A lot, again, nothing's new. Conceptually, there's not a whole lot of new things happening, but it's not a direct ripoff. It's not like a watered down version of Tyler Creator's Igor. It's Namjoon's album, and what he's done with like Lost. I think for me, I was like, this. First of all, all the videos we've gotten so far are like cinematic masterpieces. I think they're very intricate. The budget was budgeting for these videos.
Even the ones that people quote like low quality. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure there was still like a budget there, and also you have to think about the time. So
I mean, like again, it's just for any artist to make multiple videos on one album is insane. Like damn near the whole album has a music video or something like representing it. I don't know. The video was just it just obviously gave like, if this is what it looks like inside Namjoon's mind, like for real, like I'd be terrified. Like it feels like, like, I mean, I get it though. Cause as a person who kind of self-identifies as being a doomsday brainer, that's what it felt like. It felt like watching different parts of the brain kind of go off and just different things. And like some of the mannerisms that like some of the characters had, just like, and then of course we love Namjoon and a fuck ass Bob. Just had to shout out the fuck ass Bobs. But I don't know. Like,
Bob, okay, in both
we like Bob and Rand. You hear me? But no, I don't know. The video was just, it gave to me. For some reason, it gave me like 70s. It felt very. I don't know. When I watched it, I felt like this needs a shag rug in it. I don't know why I felt like it needed a shag rug, but like there needs to be like it does need and a disco ball. It felt very 70s reminiscent. Like, and I love that for him. And I think that there has been some analysis on the video. It's got to do with like some book or something. I don't remember. I haven't done very much deep diving into it. But when I first watched it, I was like, well, this was a trip. Like, that's what I thought at first. Like, well, this was a trip. It was definitely different, especially when we came from Come Back to Me to this. Because at first I thought everything was going to like flow together and like be like one continuous storyline. But that wouldn't, now that I'm looking back on that, wouldn't have made sense because it's literally about being a right person in wrong places, and they're going to be different places. So if we look at it with that lens, based on the video, if we're inside Namjoon, like I think everything that he's done with this album in general is supposed to keep you questioning every time you go back to it. It's from the videos to and I'm sure it's like almost like, those what are them things called? Them books with the I Spy books.
Oh yeah.
Those? Anybody remember those? You find different things in those. It feels like a big jumbled up mess, but if you look deep enough and you find different things, you'll find something different every time you look at it. So yeah, I don't know. I think for me, it was definitely a trip. Like I said, I was creeped out by claymation, but that was very brief. But yeah, it felt like I really want to remember this fucking movie. I feel really like stupid now because I said it in your live, Jen, and I cannot for the life of me remember what movie I said. And I watch it. It's gonna come to me at the end. I'm gonna blurt it out like a random person. Like it's fine. But yeah, that's kind of just my general like analysis, I guess. I felt like it's definitely a fun track. I feel like it is the fun track of the album. It wasn't supposed to be taken too seriously. Even though in the lyrics, even it's just like a bunch of repetition. Like it just feels very fun. It just feels like, I don't know. I feel like this is the kind of, I feel like if you were going to be somebody who like ran, like that likes to run, I feel like you could legit get lost running to this. So I don't know. But I don't like to run, so I don't have anything to compare it to. So
I mean, I guess when you hit that runner's high and then the part where it's like I hit the clouds, maybe. I'm not a runner either. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there was a reference to, I think, and the only one that I noticed, one of the lyrics was let me go back and actually see. He said, okay, here it is. He said, I never felt so free before, you're a goddamn ghost. I feel like that was a reference to Kanye's Ghost Town, because that's part of that. And that's also a song that he shared on his Instagram before. So I feel like that was kind of like a callback to that song, which I love. I was like, I caught that. I saw that. Yeah. So
Gina or Jen?
For me, I loved the music video. It was reminding me of kind of like the woodenness of like old school like talk shows and stuff. Even though they're kind of parodying it a little bit, that woodenness is very much how like I grew up loving like artists from like the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, 60s. And so when you see like the old talk shows where they'll have an artist come in, it's all very wooden, it's all very scripted, it's all very like, and so he had that kind of element to it. So I'm not sure if, like Shay said, I think this was more just a fun, creative thing that he did. I don't believe that there was much deep meaning. I've tried to find kind of like hidden meaning, and I've watched the video so many times, so I really enjoy it. I like creepy things like the Lost video. Like I like being creeped out a little bit or tripped out, and I loved the hosts. That element of just staring dead into the into the camera, and smiling randomly, laughing randomly, and Namjoon the whole time just looks genuinely like he's not even in his own body.
Yeah.
He genuinely just looks like he's not even, almost like when you're in a dream state. And I don't know if you guys have lucid dreams. When you have a lucid dream, but you're not in the dream, you can't vocalize, you can't speak, you can't actually interact. You're just moving with the dream. It was giving me very much like lucid dreaming, but kind of like also, like fever dreams where like you're paralyzed.
I could see that.
Yeah, he seemed kind of like paralyzed in this little world, almost like he wasn't meant to be there. I was struggling to understand. I know like the girl and those other guys were like different versions of him, or supposed to be different versions of him. So I like Shay, I haven't really deep dived into it to understand what they were kind of representing. But as far as like the video, I loved the end where he finally gets to the stage and then those other people are just looking up. It's like they finally like released him to where he's supposed to be, which is on stage performing. But I don't know how to connect it. But the song itself, I find the song to be really fun. And it's interesting. What he's talking about is not the nicest thing in the world, feeling lost. But there's like an acceptance. It's like, I'm goddamn lost. Like he understands that he's been lost for a long time. And he's probably going to continue to feel kind of lost. Because again, like Shay said, healing is lifelong. It's a slow journey. And I think this song, as much as a lot of the songs on the album, are about just acknowledging where he's at mentally. But it's got a funky beat. It's easy to listen to. I do think he threw it in there as like a nice little aperitif, you know? It's like a little, just like vibe with me for a second. I'm gonna speak on some things, but like I don't know. I just haven't dived too deeply into it. But I genuinely I love the visual. I try to listen to songs before watching the visual, but with Lost, I watched the video first before I listened to the track, and I was like totally tripped out by it, and I love the creepiness of it, the woodenness of it, and just like searching for something. And I kept thinking the whole time, what are they looking for? What, like, where are they going? What are these people doing? And so when he eventually gets to the stage, it's like, oh, okay. Like, you're lost, but no matter how lost you are, you always end up where you're kind of supposed to be, which is a musician, a singer, a rapper, like a performer on stage. This is who he's going to be the rest of his life, I think, in his heart. So maybe he's lost when it comes to understanding every other thing in his life is confusing: relationships, friendships, family, what have you. But the one thing that he's sure of is he's always going to be an artist. I know that's kind of like random, but that's kind of like, I felt like he just found his way back to where he's supposed to be, which is a performer on stage. But no, I enjoyed the video. Like, I don't know, I haven't got too much deep insight, but I really like Lost.
Yeah. Again, the only like side character I know for sure is one of the girls. The one with the really long hair said she was supposed to represent like the leader in Namjoon. But it's also interesting now that I sit here and like listen to you talk. When you talking about lucid dreaming, I also kind of wonder if like not even just his brain, this also could be looked at like him having a lucid dream of like where he would have been if he wasn't on the stage, which again was kind of part of this whole theme of like different avenues that he may have taken. We saw that in the concept art as well, because like, it is set in like in office, but like even to their clothing, like their clothing is way too big for
Mm-hmm.
all of them. And then like there's like looking lost in like each department of the office, of like going through the files of like that one guy drinking, like the joke they always have of like when you like gossip at like the water tank, but he's like drinking the whole water tank. I'm not sure if that means anything, but I also kind of see it now as like a lucid dreaming of like if he didn't go down the musician route and had like an office job, what would that be? But because like it's a wrong place for him, right person, wrong place. It's like they were
Mm,
able to get him to where he actually is supposed to be, which is on a stage.
yeah.
Are we ready?
For
Oh,
what?
Gina's about to break it down.
Yeah, go on, Gina.
no.
Go ahead and give us what we want.
I'm scared.
Gina about to break it down, child.
No, I took a lot of notes on this one because I went back and I watched the music video and I saw something. First of all, when I first saw it, it reminded me of something you would see with Tim Burton. It's very like disjointed, it's kind of creepy, but it means something socially. And like Tim Burton is known for like he
Love that man.
made,
Love that man. Love that man.
he made a lot of like so I went to see an exhibit in LA based on all of Tim Burton's stuff. Like they allowed him to like have all the like, because claymation was a lot of like how Nightmare Before Christmas was. It was like and so he had every face, every body like in an exhibit. So I got to see all of that. So it reminded me a lot of like how you would set up different things to film. But when I went back and watched it, it reminded me, because it had a lot of stairs and rooms and stuff, of, I don't know if you know the artist MC Escher, but MC Escher has this piece of art called The Stairs, I think it's called. And it literally is a bunch of intertwining staircases leading to different rooms. Like there's like little box rooms, and it's like it's supposed to be very disjointed, like a labyrinth. And that's what it kind of reminded me of. So I did a deep dive into that particular artwork, and it makes sense to me now. Not again, I don't know if Namjoon was thinking about this, but the painting represents because stairs represent in there like moving up. And the whole thing was talking about how we all are obsessed with the hierarchy, like getting to the top. So like when I was thinking of it in that way, like Namjoon is like climbing like stairs and there's rooms and he's doing the things like a businessman would do, like he's being a worker bee essentially. And then when he's like climbing, literally climbing the humans, like he's climbing on top of his competitors to get to the top. And then he makes it to the top and he's very confused. So it's like he's like, I did this, I did all this with BTS and I tried to like beat everyone in the competition. And then I get to the top and then where the fuck am I? Like, who am I? What am I? What am I doing here? And I was like, man, that makes so much sense if he took inspiration from that, like drawing that painting, because it literally is just like battling the hierarchy, trying to get to the top. And like literally, I was like, whoa, this is like such a good metaphor of like literally climbing human beings to get to the stage. But then once you get there, you're like, what do I do now? Like, what's left for me here? And what do I do next? And again, it kind of suits what Lost is, like being fucking lost. So even if you navigate your way to a destination, where do you go from there? So that was my whole interpretation. Once I saw it as this painting from MC Escher, again, like it's so cool. And what the painting was about, it made so much sense to me, what Lost could be about, like what he took it from, because some of the visuals are very much that piece of art. But again, Namjoon is very art driven. He loves the visual arts as well. And so like, I don't know if he took inspiration from that, but it is in MOA, by the way. Like I did look it up too. It is in MOA. So he has gone to New York. So he could have seen that piece, because it is a very like daunting piece because it's very confusing to look at. But it was really cool when I put it like that, because I'm like, oh, this actually does correlate with what it could be about. But yeah, there we go. There's my in-depth.
Makes a lot of sense though.
It does. I really like that. And like we should have also thought about that, because we know Namjoon, besides the books, he loves art. So
He's
I
an
could see
artsy
that.
boy.
He really is. So I would not be surprised if like he also got inspiration from the artist you were talking about as well. That's really cool. I didn't even think about it that way too. But yeah, it goes into like the whole office scene like you were talking about too, in the hierarchy. Because if we're going to be honest, like it is still the same in K-pop as well. Like, and fans do kind of push this as well, as far as like a hierarchy with groups, and like how there can only be one at the top instead of like it being linear and letting multiple groups be successful. So,
and I thought too it was interesting because he's alone on stage. Like, and it could symbolize too, BTS is alone on the stage usually because they're pitted against everybody else.
yeah.
And like a lot of people say there's nobody on their level. So it's lonely up there. I mean, and Jin even mentioned it when he was drunk. Like he doesn't have a lot of friends because a lot of people don't approach them to make friendships. So it could also symbolize like you get to the top, but it's lonely up there. Like if there's nobody else, then you're then lost and fucking alone. So there you go. Brought to you by Gina.
Brought to you by Gina. No, that was great. I don't have a clever pun to move on, so we're just gonna move on and talk about Around the World in a Day. I had it and then I lost it, featuring Moses Sumney, written by Kim Il, Un Hee Young, J Clef, No Identity, Grim Johnny. I feel like I wrote that wrong, but yes. RM, Moses Sumney, Sanyan, and Junkyard. And all I really have for that one is the press release of I Will Love Even Your Lies. So I know Gina really also loved this song because she was saying it's probably her creeping up to be her favorite.
Yeah,
and of course, Shay is a Moses Sumney fan. So I'm sure most you two will let us know.
Go ahead, Gina.
This one has grown on me. When I first heard it, I was unsure of how I felt about it. just because I didn't know fully like where it fit, because this was like the slower section. And I was like, oh, this is the more peaceful section. I thought we were supposed to be Zen now. And then when I really like looked at the lyrics and as I listened to it more, there is the middle part where it changes from like a slower, more like slow vibe to the guitar part, where it almost feels like you've hit like a euphoric state almost. Like you talk about all these things and then it goes into that guitar part, which is absolutely stunning. The more I hear it, I'm like, I need more indie rock Namjoon in my life because it reminds me so much of like a Dashboard Confessional or something like along those groups. But what I love too about it is I feel like the words almost come to like a powerful stance in what he's saying. Because it starts out kind of like to me more negative, but then it goes into something more empowering. And I really love that because it is like coming into his power. And I think too, like Moses's voice is absolutely stunning. I was not familiar with his voice. It is beautiful. It is so relaxing. And I'm like, this makes sense to me too. Like why Namjoon also chose him because his lyrics are not only deep, but his voice is soothing. And I think Namjoon was giving us quiet affirmations in this song. That's what I take from it, anyways. It's just like finding your strength and like living your life how you want to live it. And that's like simple. Like this is the simple version because I don't really have anything super deep. But this song really did grow on me. And I'm actually glad that it's in this part because I think this is to me part of his healing journey. To me, this is a healing song, even more so than Heaven was.
Yeah, I was just going to say that too. I think this song is actually not only the healing, but the more of acceptance of like
100%.
life is shit. But like you said, there's beautiful shits in the world. That's what this song is for me more than Heaven.
Exactly. I think so too. This to me is the healing song. This is accepting and then progressing to the rest because literally this is like next to the last two songs, which I think the last two songs are like the best way to end it. But this song definitely is the acceptance part of the movie, the part where things are coming to, we had the crescendo, we had the actions. Now we're coming to the part where it's like, you know, we finally know where this whole movie was going. So yeah, this is the healing for me. Take it away, Shay. You can do it.
Sorry, it took me a second to get back on. Sorry, I was trying to put on mute. Yeah, I mean, just adding into that because like I feel like Gina nailed it. Oh my God, shut up. I love Moses. Been loving him for a while, so I was so excited when I saw that he was featuring on RM's album. And I think the sound of this song fit him so well. I'm glad that it was a slower-ish song. It wasn't like something that's hype. I think this is his bag. I think that there was a whole lot of what's the word? I feel like Namjoon and Moses both like probably got a lot out of this song. I have not seen anything as of yet of anything that but Moses of saying anything. I haven't even checked Instagram to see if like maybe he's posted about it. Pretty sure he had, but I haven't been on socials lately. But I agree. I think it's got a lot to do with the growth and outgrowing certain aspects of his life. I think it's also a journey into authenticity a little, like and realizing that everything is going to that all. I think for me, it's more of speaking on that everything happens in due time. That you can't rush anything. You can't push growth. You can't. You just have to let it naturally happen. Yeah, I don't know. Like this one for me, I think like how Jen talks about, like I just enjoyed it. I didn't do a lot of deep diving with this one. I think because I do feel like this is also a healing song as well, kind of a self-acceptance of where he is and just accepting the things that come and have come into his life, and that opens up the whatever the next phase of his life is. Yeah, I enjoyed this song so much. I wouldn't say it's in my I like it, like Nuts is my favorite song, but like I knew that this song was going to be a favorite just because I love Moses. So like I was like, yeah, I mean, you take one of my faves from a different genre and put it with another fave, and it's always going to be it. Yeah, I think it, and I think also just noting the fact that this is another song that intertwines the English and Korean. It's not solely one or the other. And I think that also speaks to like his universal appeal, I think. And just how he's had to grow in that too, because that wasn't always like, that's not a given. Anyone who becomes like an international star, it's not going to be given to you. We're seeing it happen kind of now with like the growth of K-pop into the West. It's been growing, but we're seeing how it's still being treated as almost like a second class genre. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like even the title of like Around the World in a Day, it kind of alludes to like, I've been there, done that. You know, I've been around, I've done all the things that need to be done. And now I have to settle in what all of the summation of all those things. Yeah. And I feel like I'm kind of at the tip point of like my introspection for the day, but we've been going on for hours now.
I've kept y'all for so much longer. Thank you for still being here with me. No, I just have to say it.
I told you, like, so you're gonna put Jen and Gina in a room together and expect this not to be on there for. They've had 8-hour lives, 12-hour lives.
This is definitely going to be a two-parter. Okay,
yeah,
I'm definitely dividing this up. So, but no, seriously, thank you guys for still being here.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, I think one of the big lines in the song where it's like, "Only time will sort it out." Like, it's just, it's almost like how Gina was saying. It's kind of like self-affirmations. Like, not to worry so much about the things that you can and cannot control, because sometimes time has to sort those things out. Sometimes it doesn't take you doing anything. Sometimes you have to let things play out. And I just imagine, like, with Namjoon's journey specifically, being the leader, being somebody who is the front man of such a global phenomenon that is BTS, like, there were some things I'm sure that he wanted to, like, fix immediately and felt like he could have fixed immediately or could have changed. But sometimes you have to have some growth behind it. Because that if you don't have the growth to back it, you'll always revert back to that space. So you have to have a little bit of growth and to make sure that you can stand on that. So yeah, I don't know. Like, to me, I feel like it was a good combination of both artists. Moses definitely brings Moses' voice is just amazing. I don't know. I sent y'all a bunch of links to just some of his music. He's always had a very I'm not gonna call it strange, but he just definitely he's very much in the realms of like the Frank Oceans and stuff like that. Just very alien in his tone and alien in the way that he's like speaking. And I know one song that Namjoon had shared was Plastic, and that song was such a staple for me when that album dropped. Like, I understood just like, and then when I saw that Namjoon shared it, I was like, yeah, you can literally like tell where Namjoon's at in his life by the songs he suggests. Like, it's like a trail. It's like his own little like personal trail. As long as you're, and because he's a music head. I think Namjoon's also a music head, so he collects these things and he speaks through other songs too. Not always, but a majority, I do believe he does. So anytime he shares something, I'm immediately on that shit. But when I saw him share Moses, I was like, like my jaw dropped. I was like, I don't know why I feel like that. Like, of course he listens to Moses, of course, or like, of course he listens to Lil Sims. Like, it's not like this like gate kept secret. Like, but it's just always shocking to me, just because like you feel like sometimes when you're somebody who listens to a lot of music, like you're the only one that can understand it the way you do. And to see one of your faves or see somebody that's in this large space listen to something that you listen to, it's like, oh, they get it. Like, oh, they was just kind of like me too. You know, it made me feel really giddy on the inside. But
No, that's good. And yeah, you guys brought up some good points too. But yeah, because even I'm just like looking at the lyrics as well, because like he also, which he's been talking about for a while, like there's a line that says he's sick and tired of the digital trendsetters. And I also thought it was out of place. It's the only time he mentioned it, talking about he's gonna burp out loud, but I think that goes into what we've been talking about of just like recognizing him as like a person, and like he's just gonna do
yeah,
what normal people do and stop putting him on a pedestal, basically.
for sure.
So let's go ahead and move on to credit roll, which we did get a music video for today. I mean, it's nothing like special. Well, let me not say it like that because people can twist
I was
it
like,
wrong. It's
girl, watch
very,
your mouth. Watch your mouth. Everything that
Damn.
man does is special.
I
Okay.
know. See, that's why I said let me change that. No, but it's just short, and it's like him basically on a stool and like singing the lyrics because the lyrics are also repetitive. It's like when the credits roll, do you hang tight, especially like in a movie? Um, and like, do you stay inside or go off like to your normal life, thanking everyone to like listening to the album so far? Because kind of like what Jimin said, I do see Come Back to Me as like a credit song, is like a song you would hear when the credits are rolling through a movie. But yeah, so it's really just him and the camera. You kind of see people in there, and then like the camera's like slowly panning out to where you see him on like a very old timey box TV. You don't see those anymore. And just like a family sitting around the table. And like I wish I had more time to dissect it because I kind of wonder if that's like representation of like, maybe that family did watch a TV program. But since it is towards the end and the credits are rolling, like now they stop paying attention and they're going off to their life or something. But let me say the writing credits is Kim Han Ju, Kim Ah Il, RM Sanyan, and Junkyard. And then the press release for this was just like placed before the last track of the album that asks the listener whether they will continue to remain here. And I mean, also that could just go into Namjoon and BTS in a while, because I mean, how many times have we've heard them, especially him, repeat like, are the fans still going to be here when we come back? That's been like their biggest fear since the whole debate of whether they should get exempt or not. So I'm sure they've been thinking about that for a while. And I think this song in a way kind of represents that. Like, it's the credit rolls, yes, but like, are y'all still going to be here, when we come back, essentially?
That's what I gathered too from this. And I think too, like, it's also like trusting the process. Like, are you going to trust the process, or are you just going to like get up and leave before it's like fully complete? And I mean, it could be also in the future, like, am I going to stay here and continue to just like keep going the way I'm going, or am I going to leave and like live my life? It could also be reflected in, is he going to stay here in this business, or is he going to go off and, have a family, get in a relationship again? Like, what, like, is he going to stay put, or is he going to go? Like, because it will also come to an end too. Like, we all know, like, BTS will always be, but they might not always be together or be performing or whatever. So it's also a nod to the future,
Yeah.
but hopefully people will still be there, whoever, because even in this project, he didn't know who was going to listen to it. He didn't know if Army was even going to take the chance. But the fact that we made it to the end of the album, or almost the end, it's proving that, like, oh, you're still here, even because there is one last track. It's like this end of a Marvel movie when you're waiting for the little snippet of what comes next. And I think that it leads into Come Back to Me because what I now think Come Back to Me is, but like I love how it is just like it's not quite over yet. Like BTS isn't quite over yet. There's still more. So like stay for the special things, stay for the extra scenes. And him saying it isn't over, even though I was lost, even though I did feel these feelings and I did seclude myself, it doesn't mean that it's over. Because in the process of healing and accepting, it's like I can't change who I am, but I can take charge of how I am and not let other things influence the person that I am. And all I can do is continue on. And like even after the credits roll, you're still left sitting in the seat and then deciding what to do next. You're like, do I get up and go home? Do I get up and do this? So it's like, okay, the credits are done. This part of my creative process is done. Where's next? Where's the next destination?
But like even in that too, he doesn't really have like resentment because like another part of the line he repeats is I'm so grateful for everyone's time. Hope you have a wonderful night. So it also kind of reminds me of like when JK in a couple of lives when he was talking about like the music changing. I know he talked about a lot in 7 where it's like people aren't going to like the new direction we go to or like our personalities and like and that's okay. Like thank you for loving us back then. And if you're still not here, like we appreciate when you loved us back then. So it's still not kind of resentment in the way. I mean, I don't see it that way. I didn't take this part as like shady or anything. So
yeah.
I think well, just to speak on what I got from it. For me, of course, it's a shorter song. So to me, it's a little more intentional. And for me, I felt like it's kind of posing a question to the audience clearly of like, when this is over, are you going to sit back and ponder and like internalize or like think longer on it? Like you're going to sit back and like absorb what you've just witnessed, or are you going to go back and do the same shit you're always doing every just okay, now what's again, like it's almost like a nod to like the overconsumption that we have in this music industry in general. It's like nobody sits and kind of ponders and just like settles, lets it settle before they go on to the next thing. So it's like for me, it's kind of a nod to like sit down, like it's like Namjoon posing the question to his audience, like, are you going to like digest what I'm saying? Are you going to like sit with it for a while, or are you consuming this as a way? I might get some shit for this, but as a way to just be a part of this thing. So I almost want to say it's kind of a nod to the streaming thing as well. Not saying that's what he's saying, but like I feel like with the constant push out of some of this music and the way that the fans want so much from these artists, like again, it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier about like, what are you making the music for? Are you making it for just for the things to please your audience, to give them something to have? And then if that's the case, is your audience really connecting with you or not? But either way, he's saying, thank you for consuming it regardless of what you do. You know, I appreciate you at least giving it a listen. I think that's kind of what that signifies. I also kind of got that from like the Marvel because any Marvel fan, if you're a Marvel fan, you know that movie may end, but you sit in your ass in that seat till the very last, till they turn the lights on, basically, is when you know it's time to go, is when the lights come on. And I saw the video. I mean, it was really quick. It did, like you said, it was panning out, just of him sitting there, and then there was a bunch of shit going around again. So yeah, I think that does kind of connect with the song because, like you said, there was a family sitting there, like, on to the next thing, you know? So yeah, I think it's kind of a nod to just like, sometimes it's okay to sit with things. That's why I think it's taken so long for some of us to kind of talk about it, because we're kind of still sitting with it. We're kind of still chewing on it, digesting a little bit. Every song, even if you're listening to this podcast now and you don't feel like maybe we touched on something, we're still digesting the shit. Like this album's it's not going to be something that we're going to have an answer to like right now. This is just kind of almost like if we come back in like 6 months and do like a 6 months later, like a follow up, we'll probably all have completely different things to talk about. So it's not one with Namjoon in general, I think, or with artists that have like Namjoon's mind, because there's plenty of like artists that act like that are similar to that. You will have different feelings about things later on down the line. But I think anyone who enjoys music for music alone, you'll go through that with anybody. Like, just to go like a call back to the earlier conversation when Jen brought up the fact at the very beginning I didn't know how to feel about Golden, even though like I was really excited in the beginning for everything and I was so amped because of all the things that I know about certain things. I was not disappointed, but I was just like underwhelmed at the beginning. But over time, you ask me right now, like Golden is that girl to me. Like I'm playing the songs that I didn't think that I would like, that would stay with me. And I think that's part of being a lifelong fan, is understanding that it's not always going to hit when it does, but it will when it needs to. It could have been possibly I wasn't ready to receive what that album was. And I feel like a lot of people who will listen to Namjoon's album may not be in a season to receive what he's saying. Because some people don't want to let go of the past. They don't want to let go of the Namjoon they knew. And we've been saying this like till we've been blue in the face. When they come back out of the military, they're going to be different. They've been being different. They've been doing this shit. But it's going to be a lot more prevalent after the military. But they've been shedding off this facade, or not even a facade, because facade makes it sound like it's fake. But they've been shedding off this particular persona. They're growing up. Like, and I think people have such a disconnect with like idols in general, but BTS specifically, like they're not human. And it's like such a redundant ass conversation. I feel like we have this conversation every like couple of weeks, but it's so odd. I'm
going to say something real quick, not to like cut you off to be rude, but I do wonder. Yeah, because I'm sitting here thinking about it as well when you brought up the fan thing, and I will probably get flack for this as well. Because this also can go into like, if we keep it to like a movie thing, maybe even bringing up Marvel. I low-key wonder if this also kind of goes into, when it comes to fans, who is here just because it's popular and who is here because they actually care for them and like their music. Whether you don't even like a certain song, it doesn't matter. But like, are you here for them because you do see them as their artistry and like their artistry and them as people, or are you here because they are popular?
And I think it's me and
Gina literally had this conversation.
Yeah,
we literally talked about
it. It's a universal conversation for them. Because even when we talk about like their friendships, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you here for me? Or are you here for me because I'm RM? Like, what are you like? And I guarantee that's a play, because even Jimin had those issues when he was talking about Face. I don't know what exactly he was, because he didn't really said. But again, just like I can't relate, because I don't obviously have the same issues as these men do. But to be someone who is somebody in that, with that much power, that much influence, that much notoriety, you will probably question everybody that's ever come into your midst, whether you mean to or not. I'm sure they never intend to like look at people with like a kind of a side eye, but there is a level of like, what are you here for? What do you want from me? I would assume they would want every encounter to be genuine. And that goes for friends, fans, family, everyone. I'm pretty sure it's something they've had to deal with for over 10 years now. And they've grown into that. Imagine being early 20s, even teen in this industry, having to deal with the things they've dealt with, having to go through the tribulations they've dealt with from their own community, from their own industry, from people that were supposed to be their seniors and take care of them, or to at least embrace them. I mean, look at all the shit they've been through, and now we're here and they're still questioning this shit. It's gotta be fucking trauma. And I'm not trying to diagnose these men, but like, there's some things that never leave you. That's why I asked, does anybody ever really heal? I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever really heal from that feeling, because it is redundant in their lives, in all facets of their lives. And it's kind of sad when you sit back and think about it. But I think in general that they're happy. I don't think that they would continue to do something if they weren't happy. But at the same time, like you said, Simone, this could be a nod to like, what are you here for? What is your purpose of being here? Are you here because you genuinely care about me and what I contribute, and do I do it for you? Or are you here because this is a trend and it's bad and it's the biggest fandom, and you get this kind of like, almost like a bragging right, being an Army, like you're doing, and I'm not, and this not trying to shade Army by any means. Everybody knows I ride for Army. I love Army. It's not that. It's just, I think we get to a point. I think any major artist would get to a point eventually where they're like, what am I doing this for? And what are they here for? It's got to be something that they're constantly questioning. I don't know if I was an artist, I think I would probably question that. Like, what am I doing this for? And who and what are they here for? You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think in 2019, like Jimin even brought that up. I think it was during a festa in 2019 where he talked about like he finally had the courage to let some friends go that were like disrespecting BTS. So whether it wasn't towards him personally, but at least like talking about the group and the members where he just like cut them off.
Yeah, because
like, not gonna
he's a
accept
part
friends
of that
anymore like that. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, you're talking because if you're talking about them, you're talking about him because he is that. Like he is very much like they are individuals, but they are very much still BTS. So if you're talking about one of them, you're talking about all of them.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine how painful that must have been for Jim and like people who he classed as friends, and then he's hearing on the grapevine that they're shading his group, they're disrespecting his group, maybe even to his face, they're subliminally like talking crap about BTS. That must have been so, and good for him for being strong enough to be like, yeah, no, you're done. Because if you can actually play in my face, right in my face about people who I care about and something that is, you know, important to me as my career, the groups that I'm a part of, yeah, you don't need to be around me. Not at all. So yeah, I remember that when he brought that up, and that made me mad as hell. I was like, I can't even believe that's a thing.
Like I can't.
But it just also, I would think it also just humanizes them as well, because how many of us deal with that type of shit?
Oh,
people
every
playing in our
single
face, and
yes,
like you know
absolutely.
what I'm saying? So it makes it even more relatable as far, and they're like, we don't ever want to see them hurt. We never want to, but to absolve them of any pain is to also dehumanize them as well. It works both ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I hate that. I hate that we cannot like protect them at all times, but even to, like I said, absolve them of whatever situation they have to experience. We all do. The human experience is universal. So we all, and we get, and I hate that we have to go through pain to get great music, but some of the greatest music come from the most suffering situations. And we see that all throughout BTS's discography, unfortunately, but they continue to go on. And I think that's a great testament of them being artists. I mean, they could have quit many times. They've had plenty of opportunities. They've talked about it.
And they've said it. Yeah, they've said it.
Yeah, they've
said it. Like, and most people would. I don't. That's what I'm saying. When you said so, well, I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was Simone or if it was Jen or Jean. I'm not sure. One of y'all said like these idols they probably look at BTS like, oh, I want to be there. Look at what they have, but look at what they went through. You're looking at what they got now. Like, look at what they've been through. Look at what they still are going through. You don't really want that kind of life. I don't think they want that life. Me personally.
No, they've also said that multiple times in their solos. Like they're kind of tired of the life. I don't know how many times they have to keep saying in their songs they want to be seen as human first. Like that's literally part of Yoon. J-Hope also said that in Jack in the Box. So it's like it's a running theme here.
A running theme, man. And it'll get better. I mean, like I said, they're living their best civilian lives right now, and saying that very loosely. But I mean, for the first time in probably a long time, they're being seen as just like everybody else in the military. And I hate that. I hate that it had to come to that for them to feel human. But I'm sure I'm sure as much as I'm not romanticizing the military. Military is ass. I'm not for it. But I'm sure it's a very euphoric feeling for them to just be looked at as just another human being, and for once in the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure like when they first got in, some of those other guys that were enlisting alongside them were probably like enamored by the fact that that's the member of BTS. Sure. But that fades very quickly once they, you know, they start experiencing the very real elements of military life, and it humanizes them, like you said. And these people who probably were fanboying in the beginning are just looking at them like, yeah, that's my dude Namjoon. Yeah, that's Jim, and that's you know, and I'm happy for them for that too. But
sucky situation, but at the end of the day, it's again, human experience cannot be absolved if we're going to actually humanize them. And unfortunately, in their society, this is something all Korean men have to do. You have to have very special like situations to be refrain from doing so. But
or
be
from a very rich family. Let's be honest.
I mean, but that is something that is universal across the spectrum. Yeah.
Yep.
When you got money, you can do a lot of shit. But but anyway. But yeah, no. I do think when it comes to this is my second favorite song, and it's not even really a song, right? It's more just like, again, it feels like a poem. It feels like, just a real short, like little limerick or whatever. It just reminds me of those kinds of things. And that's kind of what I pondered on when it came to Credit Roll. So it even makes me look at how I consume music now too. And that's what I'm saying. Namjoon be challenging my motherfucking brain, and I don't like that shit. Okay, well, like I get it, June. All right, I get it. I can talk shit all day about overconsumption, but how do I absorb music? How am I doing justice to my artist if I'm just listening just to give it the streams, just to be part of the machine that is the industry that they belong to? We can talk and yap all day about how we hate the company. We're feeding into it. Right? We're feeding into the same system, but that's another conversation next podcast.
The more you say next podcast, the more I'm just excited. That means you want to come back. So we can save all these for the next time. That's fine with me.
For sure.
Well, can I talk about Credit Roll?
Yeah. You can also talk about Around the World in a Day.
Oh yeah, I missed a chance
to, if you want to. Yeah.
With Credit Roll, like Shay said, it's not even like a song. But first of all, can I say the visual, as short as it is, he looks so beautiful. He looked beautiful, but he looked incredibly sad. He, like, at the very end where he just drops the mic like down to his like leg and like accepts the fact that like he's performing, but then the people at home, which is what I guess that family or those people represent, is the people at home watching him, are not remotely interested in what he's doing, which I think maybe is like him kind of depicting the fears that BTS as performers have, because they talk about that will you still be here? Are you gonna stay? Why are you staying? Like they're constantly asking these questions and constantly trying to get that assurance that the fans aren't going anywhere. So I felt like this was like a very visual, a way to visualize that concern. And I took a little something different from the term credit roll and him saying these words like, when the credits roll, will you hang tight? Like, it could even be talking to himself and the members in saying like, when the credits roll for them, as we mentioned earlier in the pod, this has to come to a somewhat of an end at some point, right? And it's almost, I kind of got from it like, is he saying like, will they all still want to, hang tight and maybe keep doing things together? Will they still make music in some way? Will they still, like, what are they going to be once the credits roll? So I feel like he could be talking to the fans, and he could be talking to himself and his members just in general. And like that whole thing of like, I'm a big movie buff. I used to have this thing where I would save my little allowance and I would go watch a movie on my own. Like, I wouldn't always go with friends. Most of the time it would be on my own. I'd go watch a movie. And that was one of the things I had, like this little hope every time the credits roll, especially when it's a movie that I really enjoyed. I would think, what if something happens at the end? Like, because there was that whole phase where movies would throw in a little secret thing after the credits. So I would sit and watch credits, and sometimes credits go on for a long time. I would sit there hopeful, like, oh, am I going to get to see something cool at the end of these credits? And you're like the last person in the movie theater. You got the person waiting to clean, watching you like,
waiting, you like, when is she
nothing going on after these credits? Like, girl, go home. But I think it also represents like a little bit of hope. Like, hanging on past the credits is you basically saying like, I'm waiting for something, anything. I'll take whatever you give me, kind of thing. And I feel like that's how a lot of us might be once BTS do, down the mic and things kind of like stop in the form of the animal that is BTS. Are we going to be receptive of other projects that they do? Namjoon wants to go into, he wants to try having a cafe and an art cafe, things like that. They have all these ideas. I'm sure that they have plans for after their career. Are we going to hang tight and check into what they're doing? Or is it going to be just them singing into a mic at a camera and be a bunch of people at home completely ignoring what they're doing? I think that is a fear that they have. They bring it up a lot, so it's definitely a very raw fear. I don't think no amount of army telling them, "Of course we're not going anywhere," is going to truly appease them and make them believe. Because yeah, we're going to say that while things are good and the content is flowing, but the reality is going to hit when that actually happens. And me and Gina talked about this. Like, you're going to see who the real lovers of BTS's music and artistry are. You're going to see who those people who those people are. They're the ones who are going to stand the test of like time, and when the content slows down, when it even stops. Like, I would ask you ladies, would BTS eventually slow down or end? Like, are you going to be looking into, what's Yoongi producing? And I don't know, is Jin going to become an actor? Are we going to check out his dramas? Like, I feel like credit roll doesn't necessarily represent the end. It might just represent the end of that part. And Namjoon wants to know, you going to be, is there going to be another journey after BTS? And I think that's pretty exciting. Because I would like to know what they're gonna do. Because I feel like I don't think they can sit still. People like Namjoon and Yoongi, Hobi, like they can't sit still. They can't. These are born artists, so they're gonna keep making art. But that was my little thing about credit roll.
No, you're fine.
He looked really pretty in the video.
I also should have mentioned this at the beginning, and I don't know if this is going to change anything for everyone, but like the Korean letters, the U, I don't know if any of you know, but like in text messaging, like emojis before emojis, that's kind of used to like when you send to someone like you're crying, whether it's like a dramatic crying or like, actually crying, like the U, and you can put it as many times as you want. I know my favorite emoji is like the crying emoji, but I use it for like laughing sometimes too, laugh crying. That's what that's for. So that's why it's like
Is that where TT comes from?
Yeah, because they do the little symbol. Yeah,
it looks like TT.
Down.
Like, yeah. Like, I wonder. I
would have to look into Twice's
that's the
lyrics
for the crying emoji in Korea. They do the little finger down and then over the face.
Because even in the YouTube, like if you notice, Jimin was like pretending to cry, like he was saying like you like a lot. It's because that's what it means.
Yeah.
So
interesting. I mean, we've seen these guys talk about the end. We've seen JK ask Army like, "Why do you love us?" or "Why do you stand us?" in so many words. It's I don't know from experience. I'm just speaking from like a very like almost like an outsourced perspective. The way that people accumulate fame, it's most of the time unsure. It's a lot of like, I'm sure in the very beginning of their career, they were happy with whatever they got. They were happy with like the little recognition just being the biggest thing in Korea. But now they're the biggest thing outside of Korea. To conceptualize the fan base so large as Army is something that we can't do as Army. I don't know what the fuck they think when they look at that screen and see all these people that are constantly like trying to get their attention. And when they go to these concerts and go to these stadiums and they're filling hundreds of thousands of seats every night, you kind of almost, I feel like you would kind of like be out of touch with reality a little bit because it all becomes one big ass mush. Like you want to be interpersonal and look at like everything as individualistic, but it's hard because of the amount, just the big, I mean, I don't know. Like the only thing I compare it to right now is when I went to go see Beyonce and all these people in this big ass stadium were sitting in that room for this one person. This woman has been doing this music thing for decades now. And she's still able to do the things that I would assume that BTS want to do in that kind of like longevity of their career. But you do kind of lose, I think you lose touch of reality a little bit when you're looking at what the next thing is for yourself as an artist. Because you have to be somewhat kind of conscious of what the next thing is, what your next, like you said, Jen, what the next thing will be. Is it going to be music? Is it going to be I don't know, fashion. I could definitely see some of the members getting into like some fashion endeavors, or there's all that the limit doesn't exist when it comes to what they can do or the accessibility they have to do it. But like you said, will we be here? I personally will. I will be here. I will be here to see them go get married, or if whatever their desires. I'm saying from obviously a perspective, this is what they want to do. Whether Yoongi goes off and just takes a back seat like a P dog and produces and writes, or if Jimin decides he wants to continue and be more involved in like fashion spaces and modeling or whatever the case may be. JK going off to be, and I don't want to say this like in a bad way, but if he decides like if BTS comes to a close, he wants to continue on and be a solo artist, hey, I'll be here for that. Namjoon wants to do the indie stuff and like you said, open up a cafe. I'm here for that. Like I'm here for them as individuals. A lot of people will use this whole phrase of like, I'm here for BTS, and if BTS leaves, I go too. Well, they're not gone. They're still around. It's not like they're gonna. I mean, I'm saying this from like obviously objective, but like if they leave being BTS, it's not like they're gonna like not still exist. So not here anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like that's my forever artist. That I have a few that those are my forever artists. So and art is so multifaceted. It could just be down the line being like a YouTuber and doing like shit like that. Like, well, you know what I'm saying? Like I would totally watch Jin's YouTubes. I do it now.
Absolutely.
Like I do, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean,
be a gamer, I'm down. I'm watching.
Yeah, I know Twitch isn't a thing over there, but like if whatever they choose to do, when you love a person, it goes beyond what they do for you now, because you don't ever want that feeling to go.
Did I lose Shay? Is she still talking?
Showed up, but I can't pick it up. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh God,
it's not lighting up green. Oh no.
This is where Zoom is telling us get off. Like you've been on here way too long.
What are you doing?
Thank
Can
God
I just say,
the...
Simone, you know, you've been such a great podcast host. Like this has been a really, really lovely space, lovely conversation. There's going to be hell on earth for you to edit, but I do apologize. We're very
I'm
wordy.
so sorry for your editing journey.
We're very wordy people when it comes to this group.
I expected this, but again, I was mostly worried about y'all because I know how we can talk, but like I know like Jen, especially you're 5 hours ahead of me. So like I know it's pretty much nighttime for you, and like y'all got your kids and things. So
yeah,
again,
my husband literally came to the door and he was like, it's been 6 hours, right?
Yeah. So
like,
seriously, thank you for being here.
Sorry, Paul.
Sorry, Paul.
It is almost pushing the limit where I know I'm going to get the stare down, but it's not at the limit where I need to fear for my life. So we're good.
Okay.
Well, I mean, we got
one more song.
Yes,
we are down to one more song.
Yes,
and
I didn't know
this has been so great.
No, but I've loved everything.
You.
So don't get it twisted.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, like you guys are always welcome back. So you can also be regular guest. Or like host as well. So again, my podcast is very unfiltered.
Whenever you want to, whenever you have a hair up your ass and want to talk about something, I'm sure none of us be doing shit anyway.
We're very open, and I think the people you have here, like myself, Shay, and Gina, we're the sort that we have opinions, and we have to censor ourselves on platforms like TikTok a lot. But the beautiful thing about podcasts is you can be more open with what you're saying, and you can be more, and look, all our views sometimes are very different, and we see things differently. And I think that should speak to anyone who listens to the podcast, is that everyone doesn't have to be sheep. We don't all have to follow the same path when it comes to enjoying BTS's music. You can take what you want from it.
Sure.
Or you have to like it at all. You really don't. You don't have to like every song.
Exactly.
Let it speak to you.
Ain't nobody holding you here. You know what I'm saying?
At all.
Come as please.
At all. You know, I definitely, I hope people can get that message to sink in, because the amount of people who feel the need to tell the world that, oh, you know, like, my everything's crappy because they don't do the same music that they used to do, or I'm not. It's like, it's okay. It's okay. You'll vibe with the next one, maybe. You know, I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe your season with BTS is done. That's a very real thing too. If you find that nothing that they're making is speaking to you, it could be that your time and season with BTS is done. Their new, you know, lane and journey is not the same as yours. You may find another group that speaks to you more. That's
For sure.
also okay.
And you can always come back. There's nothing that says you can't come back if something strikes your fancy again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Is that a segue I hear?
oh, yeah, oh.
Yes, but shit, were you
Okay,
done
Tina.
talking also? Because I feel like you got cut off.
No, no,
I don't know if I
I'm
picked
Oh
it
yes,
up.
we lost you, Shay.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think I was saying anything of a majorly important. That's fine. It's cool.
Okay. Well, yes. Like y'all were saying, you know, the fandom and like listening to BTS is a revolving door, which leads us to Come Back to Me and the music video, which actually was a pre-release that came out on May 10th. I think I said this earlier in this already 6-hour log recording. I do not know if I'm going to really truly be able to talk about this song like I want to. And I can already feel it now for some reason. And like how Shay was talking about Namjoon makes her think, Namjoon makes me feel emotions that I try to bury deep, deep, very deep at the 7th layer of hell down. So like I don't know what it is about this song and I don't know what it is about this music video, but like you can ask Gina because she had to text me like on the day this came out, am I okay? Because she hadn't heard from me all day and like I could not get to her until the next day. I was literally also I had to work, so that didn't help as well.
Yeah,
Like
I was a little
I was
worried though.
yeah, I was going in and out of crying. I was listening to the song on repeat. I was also made a playlist, which I never do, of like his saddest songs and pretty much all of Mono and like put it together with this one being at the
You just
end.
wanted to cry.
Oh my God. Apparently I just needed those
Yeah.
feelings out. So yeah, it hit me in a way I didn't think it was going to. It made me think about like myself as well. Um, if I feel like I can talk about it without crying and sobbing, I'll try. But just in case, I'm just pre-warning you now. But anyway, to get to the song itself before we actually jump into it, the writing credits on there is Woo Hyuk, Cuckoo, Junkyard, RM, and Sanyan. And this also, like I think we mentioned earlier too, this was the untitled track that Namjoon performed at during Yoongi's encore at D-Day on the very last day. I think it was also special too because like now that we knew that like Namjoon, which honestly I personally saw it, like I could tell he was kind of distancing himself from the members. I'm not sure if anyone else picked up on it, but now that knowing that, like him saying that out loud, you can kind of see like their interactions differently, especially like if some of the like, especially in the Magne line, like when they would go on live and like he would pop in, like how much that truly meant to them. So I can't really say like I don't know how it was for like Yoongi because like he was on tour and things like that. So I'm not sure how much he talked to Namjoon compared to Magne line. But like I said, this was a pre-release and the press like release for this was an indie pop genre song with the message it may not be everything. Arm reflects on the album's main theme, right and wrong, and looks into the contradictory emotions of people who want to challenge something new, but at the same time want to be complacent with reality. And Come Back to Me was written by RM, composed by Woo Hyuk of the band Hugo and Ku of the Taiwanese 5-member band Sunset Roller Coaster. They helped produce this as well. And then for the music video, we had a lot of like actors in it that are very known in Korea, as well as like a Korean, I'm assuming he's Korean American. Yeah, he is. Um, Director Lee Song Jin, who actually directed the Netflix show Beef that has Ali Wong and is it Steve or Steven Yoon Yen? How to pronounce his name? Sure. Alongside with art director and production designer Ryu Song-hee, who participated in films like Memories of a Murderer and Old Boy. I don't know if Old Boy he was in the Spike Lee version or the original Korean version. Didn't have time to research that because there's two Old Boys. And cinematographer Kim Woo-hyung from The Little Drummer and Assassination. So they help with like the creative directing, producing, and writing the screenplay. I added the article in the description box, but I thought it was funny. There was a Hollywood report where the director, Lee Sung Jin, actually talked about working with Namjoon. And I didn't mention it when we talked about Lost, but like you can always tell, especially when it comes to celebrity, how they truly are as a person when someone who has worked with them talked about them, whether they actually say the words or like their reactions to it. And it's like when it comes to any BTS member, you hear nothing about like anything bad. It's just like how humble they are. Like it didn't feel like they were working with a celebrity, just someone who's like hardworking and all that. So he had nothing but like good things to say. But he also talked about how he was afraid and felt like he was gonna get deported because in the video itself, I guess way before they started filming, Namjoon got hurt. A camera hit him above his eye, and I remember it must have been that day too. He had came on live and talked about the cut on his eye, and it's throughout all the music videos. So like he was like, "Oh my God, I heard Superstar RM. I'm gonna get deported from Korea. I'm never gonna work in this town again." And then he's like, Namjoon came back from the hospital, bandaged up and stitched up. He's like, "All right, let's get back to work." And he was like, "Oh, okay." So I mean, that should also just show you what type of person Namjoon is. Um, and then yeah, I already mentioned earlier that Jimin said that it's felt like a song you would hear in the credits of a movie or like a musical theater. And then Namjoon also talks about how like this song in particular kind of talks about, you know, the cycle of going in a circle. So everything ends up going back to the original in a way. So yeah, y'all can go first. Cause like I said, I don't want to start crying if I talk about that song. Yeah.
You want to take? No.
What?
I said, Gina, you want to take it?
Sure. This song I knew was going to be one that I really loved a lot because when he performed it at Yoongi's show, I teared up a lot. But I think too, he was nervous when he performed this. Like you could tell his voice shook a little and his hand was shaking a little. Like he definitely was not sure how people were going to take this. I think people really thought Wildflower was going to be the song he chose. But he did this one. And I think, again, he was testing the waters. He was like, you know what? I want to take this to what I want to work on, and I want to see how ARMY responds. And I really loved it a lot. And I was like, when are we getting this album? Because I need this song immediately. And he did change some lyrics from what we have now. And I don't know what the reason was other than he maybe didn't like how it sounded.
Because remember, we talked about the Dandelion song because people were talking about, oh, this should be titled Dandelion. I forgot what it went in Yoongi's concert, but that was not in the final form we got.
When I saw the music video for this, I was actually really impressed with Namjoon because he really went into this as I am an actor. And Namjoon has incredible acting skills. I don't think sometimes people realize that. Like they always say, oh, Jin and Tae. But like Namjoon actually, especially in HYYH videos, like has extremely good acting skills. He is able to convey human emotion so well. Like
or even like the video game that no longer exists. Like his story was my favorite. He acted his ass off.
Like he is very, and his eyes are very expressive. I know that man and his eyes have a fight sometimes, but like his eyes are extremely expressive. When that woman was trying to beat his ass and she's throwing shit at him, his eyes like conveyed every emotion of confusion, like sadness, and what the fuck am I gonna do? Like, how am I gonna calm this woman down? And I loved how we see these aspects of like, because one of the lines is like spring like always been here, and he talks about spring, and spring is about like a rebirth season. It's a season where you can kind of start over. And I felt like in every scene, there came a point where it kind of reset and we saw another vision. So like he had a family, and then it goes to him fighting or him at the bar. Like it goes like to different scenes, like in the sense of like you can start over, but you always come back to yourself in the end. Like it always comes back to you. But then when I listened to it in the entirety after credits roll, like in that way, it also is like he's all these things, people interpret all these things, but then it always comes back to like him and Army in a way. Like it also comes back to that realization that, as he always says, spring will come again. Like spring day always comes back to haunt us. It's that bitch. But like, it really is like, come on, we all know Wyatt Sharks, but
she'll never die. Okay,
she'll
never
live on
die
forever. And he talks about spring so much, and I think too, it's like all the shit that we're gonna go through. Like I'm gonna go to the military. I'm gonna, please excuse my dog as she has a heart attack. No, but like literally, like we're going to get BTS again. We're going to get a chance for it to be BTS and Army again. Like he's looking forward to doing what he needs to do and then coming back. And I really love that this song, even though not every song is about Army, this one could be reflected in that, and also him coming back to himself after being lost, after being confused, after going through all the things that he's gone through. And I think it's a multifaceted song, and it's meant to be interpreted however we need to interpret it, because again, this album seriously is healing in the end. And this song is meant to be like, it'll all be okay. We'll all come back around and we're going to find our place again. But we also just have to be open to rebirth, like starting over again, because when something ends, we start something new. And this song, I love it though so much because it is so beautiful. And he sings, like genuinely, this is singing. Namjoon's version, no, he's not a vocal god, but his voice is so soothing. And it literally reminds me of like laying in bed and he's next to you and you've had a shit day. And he's like, it's going to be okay. And it just brings me to comfort. Like whenever I'm stressed out, I come to this song. And yes, I tear up a little bit, but it is so comforting. And I do hope in like living these moments in the video that he acts out, that he knows that like any version of this that he wants to revisit, he can revisit. Like I genuinely hope so. Like we joke that he never wants to be a dad now, but if he chooses to someday, like I hope he knows he can open that door again. And any of the scenes, like it's okay if he goes back to a certain point or he relives something, because we all make mistakes, we all make the choices. But it's okay if you, as long as you know you can come back to yourself and come back around. But yeah, that's my nerdy sentimental version.
Hey, or Jen.
I really loved Come Back to Me. I thought the video was a masterpiece. It was giving, movie quality. I think the song, for me, I initially was like, oh, he's talking about a relationship, which was, I think, naive of me, because as Gina said, and I've heard other people say, he's talking about multiple things that he's been through and multiple worlds that involve him. So multiple relationships, like, with his parents, with his ex-partner, whoever they may be. There could even be representation of the K-pop industry with himself. So learning more and hearing other people's perspectives, I would go back, watch the video, and I would get a little more from it. I would understand it in a different way. I love that he took some risks. This was not, this was not a song or a video that was going to go necessarily viral, based on like what tends to go viral now coming out of, K-pop. I don't even class this album as K-pop. So sometimes I think, like we said earlier, like Shay said, she doesn't even class BTS as K-pop anymore. I haven't for a long time. But God forbid you say that out loud, you get dragged for it.
I haven't either. So
you get dragged for it.
But it's also kind of goes into the argument of like when people are like, they are K-pop, they're the standard of K-pop. But at the same time, you're like, they're not K-pop. They're not like these other groups. So it's like,
but then people take it
as
a negative and they say, why are you acting like BTS are better than everybody else? You're trying to like other them, like they're better. And I sit there thinking, well, I mean, I'm not saying they're better, like, than, everybody's equal, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes to artistry, you can't label their stuff. You can't, not anymore. And what Namjoon's given us is something that, I'm sorry, he might be speaking in Korean in some song. Like, that's not a K-pop album.
Yeah.
That is not a stereotypical K-pop album. It's not even a K-pop album that's trying to mimic something or play with the culture. This is unique. Come Back to Me. I struggled understanding why people didn't like this song. A lot of people, I think because it was the first one. Again, we said that this album is a grower for a lot of people. But this song, I loved him giving us a mild vocal, that hushed tone, kind of like spoken word style of performance. It made me sad to think that there's parts of his life where he's just going in and out of like random. It's almost like, when you have like bad memories, that something could have happened to you 10 years ago and it flashes back in your brain and you cringe because something happened that was like embarrassing, or you made a really bad decision, or, and I feel like Namjoon spends a lot of his time doing that because he regrets so much stuff. I think he's lived a lot of his career has been with a lot of regrets about his choices. And I want nothing but for him to be able to literally, like in the final scene where they see they go to that door that Namjoon's been eyeing up that door as they're walking around through the video. They finally go to the door and open it. And she kind of looks at him like, it's okay, let's go. Like, we can go through this door. And they go through the door. I hope that is a sign that he himself has gone through the door and he can let go of some of the things that have been choking him, like that, the regret, the embarrassment, the worrying about the past, thinking about his mistakes. These people who get on social media looking to drag Kim Namjoon for his past indiscretions, for the things that he's done, the mistakes he's made. And I think to myself, you're not dealing with a Jay Park here who could care less who he hurts. He could care less who he offends. At the end of the day, it makes him go viral, and that's all Jay Park wants. And there are other idols who are repeat offenders when it comes to saying the N-word or just doing things that are not right. Namjoon is somebody who beats himself up. He punishes himself. And this video felt like it was almost like you're in his brain, and what is that constant like hamster wheel of regret, worry, panic. Oh, this wasn't good. Reliving old memories, traumas. I'm just like, I know he's in therapy because I think he's talked about therapy before on lives, but
think
this
they
is somebody
all
who,
have.
yeah, they all have, right?
Yeah.
So I think Namjoon needed therapy. So I'm glad that he sought out therapy. We tell people all the time, get therapy, girl. Girl, get therapy. But when you see someone like going like he needed therapy. I don't know if he would have made it into the military with a good headspace if he hadn't gone to therapy. This album has been able to show us just a window into what he's been dealing with. And that alone, it moved me. And I can understand, Simone, why you get emotional when you talk about Come Back to Me. I'm getting a little emotional myself. Goddamn.
I'm getting emotional listening to you talk.
My
So
God. Because when you're tormented, and a lot of that torment is of your own creation, my God, it's prison. It's a prison. He's worrying about things that probably aren't even happening. He's worried about people thinking things that they're probably not even thinking. But then there's also hate that he's received in the past that I'm sure
still now,
he's
let's be
so
honest.
Right. Like
Yeah.
Namjoon has been dragged through this industry. He has not been one that was respected. He was made a joke, and his main focus was, I have to keep going because this group depends on me. And he has put his group before himself, before his mental health, before all that. And like I said, I'm just glad that he was able to take the time to do the work to heal, even if it's a little bit, because this world needs Kim Namjoon. And I'm going to leave it there because I'm getting a little choked up. But this world genuinely needs this man because he was definitely put here to make a difference. And I'm very grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful for his music. I'm grateful for his honesty. And yeah, I'm going to stop there.
It's okay.
Oh, dear.
It ain't a real Jen segment if she don't shed at least one tear, huh?
Girl, I knew you were going to come from Jay.
It's all right.
I nearly made it to the end. I nearly
You
did.
almost made it.
Oh,
it would be
man.
this one. I think this one. I think this one hit everyone the same.
Lost her again.
The connection with it when he did it at the tour with Yoongi. Because we all expected it to be Wildflower, because again, all the members that did their big break, hits from the solo project. So that was the title track for Indigo. So we were all expecting it, but then we got a gift. We got brand new songs. Like, oh, like, well, that's even more better. Like, and then it was like this sad, like, it wasn't sad in a way, but it was like melancholy. That's more of better. It was a very melancholy track. It wasn't so like, there was obviously pain there. There was obviously like a true like grieving almost of this. And he even said, I think, probably paraphrasing, but that this is one of his most treasured songs. So we knew going into it that it was a song it meant a lot to him. So that almost made it even more like have some reverence to it, and more respect for it because it was so close to him. So when he did it live, I said this on a video. I was like, I hope that it's still after it was done and after we had consumed it or listened to it, and then when we watched, I was one of the ones that went back and watched the replay, and then the week later when they did a replay, I listened to it again, and I was like, man, I hope this song when it's released is just as raw and just as like. I hope it doesn't have a whole lot of mixed mastering, whole lot of like, just, I don't want it to be like overproduced. I hope it's still just as pure as it was when he did it on that stage. And it was. So I already had like feelings prior to the video dropping. And when I found out that was the video, the first one we're getting after getting the release of like the shit, I was like, so Namjoon doesn't want me to have a hot girl summer is what he's saying. That's fine. I guess I'm just going to be sad. Like I was already preparing for it to be sad, but like, first of all, the video was amazing. I'm big on color grading. I love me a good, just deep autumn colors. And like, I enjoyed the budget for the video. Like I really do. I felt it really did feel like watching like a cinematic thing. It really that one felt the most like watching a short film.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. Like I love me a good short film. I'm a YouTube buff and I love watching just like Sundance stuff. Like I mean, I'd rather watch that than like any mass produced like multi-million-dollar box office movie, because I think those are the most like raw and real artsy and real, like the last real bit of art we have when it comes to like media. But when it comes to, so the video was great. I'm not going to dive too much in that because I mean, we can do this all day, all night, clearly. But the song in of itself, again, referencing spring. But the one that wasn't the line that got me. The "You Are My Pain Divine" is what kind of struck me.
That's when I started sobbing.
Yeah, and the repetitiveness, especially towards the end, just the fact that, first of all, anything that's a divine pain is like, when you think of divinity or you think of something that is divine, it's something that's supposed to cause you bliss. It's supposed to be like this very like elated feeling, this almost like, again, euphoric feeling. It's supposed to be something that brings you joy and happiness, but it's a pain there. And the fact that the foresight of it, you're seeing it come back. You want this to come back. You're longing for this to come back. Imagine wanting to experience the divine pain consistently because of the euphoria or the euphoric feeling that you get from it, the high you get from it. I imagine Namjoon don't need drugs or alcohol. I'm sure what he does and what he produces in his music gives him just as good of a high as any drug or any shot or whiskey or whatever. But I think this song represents him losing that for a time. Like when he talks about like being disconnected from his members, I think, again, going through a deconstruction of yourself is also distancing yourself from your art, from what the thing that you love the most. And that was probably really tough for June. You know what I'm saying? Like I imagine anytime you feel like lethargic when it comes to your art, whether that's, writing or singing or painting or making video, whatever it is that does it for you, when you feel you get to a point where you don't feel like you want to do it anymore and you need like almost like a tolerance break from it, that's a very dark, heavy feeling. Something that gave you joy is now giving you pain. That's crazy. It's just, and it made me feel sorry for Namjoon. It made me feel like, again, I said this, I think earlier, like maybe in a conversation we were having where I said I was feeling, I'm being transparent, I felt kind of this disconnect from BTS for a little while. I'm sorry. And that it's funny because the song actually has gotten me coming back to it. But I felt, and I don't know if it was the enlistment, I don't know if it was just me like suppressing the feelings that I had when it came to like losing them, or just like the mourning or the grieving of like losing, like we talked about the other day, something that I've never had. I've never had a BTS experience yet. I've had Yoongi. I went to the D-Day tour, I had an amazing time, but I've never experienced them as a group. So when they come back, that will be my first experience. And I say this all the time. I know everybody likes to say like BTS finds you when you need them, and you don't stumble upon BTS for no reason. But I genuinely think that there is kind of a grieving that comes when you meet them too late, or you meet them and they've already hit so many accolades and strides in their career. And now you're like, am I going to experience this? If they've already been to the top, where's left to go? You know what I'm saying? Like if they've already done the struggle bus like thing, and then they've already like done all the things that, if they've already hit all the milestones that they possibly could hit, it's hard to conceptualize what is actually going to be next. So I imagine Namjoon's also been through that. You know what I'm saying? Namjoon has probably also been like, I have written and I have done, and I'm about to hit 30, and I've lived this very fast paced, very like this life I never thought I'd ever live. What is next? And maybe there was a point with Namjoon, and of course I'm not trying to diagnose him or anything like that, but maybe he fell so deep into this cycle of depression that he probably wanted to quit himself. Maybe not necessarily even the time we know about, but I imagine they've all felt that way. I mean, we've heard it even through like J-Hope's documentary, which is hard to watch. It's hard to hear them say that shit. It's one thing to think about it being as a concept of them retiring and being like happy, but it's hard to hear them say, I've gotten to a point in this thing that I didn't want to do this anymore, that I wanted to walk away from it. That's hard to hear, from their mouths. But I think all artists go through that. I think everybody goes through that. Whatever you do, I think you go through that. I think it's part of the human experience. I think they needed a break, and not just like a break as the military, but like even their solo projects was a bit of a break. Even though it was work, they were able to break away from the group project and being somebody who can only think of what's good for the group and doing something that they love and put passion into something that they love. And that could also be considered a break. But sorry that I'm so long-winded, but just to sum it up, I feel like with this record, first of all, it hit me in I didn't realize how much I missed Namjoon until I saw his face. And yeah, we've seen him, like he's posted. I'm not saying he's been one of the ones of the members that have posted, but I miss Namjoon's music. It's been for me so long since we've had something from him, with Indigo being the last thing he put out prior to this. I didn't realize how much I missed that feeling of just Namjoon releasing something, and releasing something not only music-wise, but just from himself. Like, it is very cathartic, I think, for the people who understand his music and understand like his thought processes, or at least try to. Can we actually ever really understand Namjoon? I don't know. But like, I think some of us who do take a deeper dive and who do like try to understand, and even if you're not that kind of person that tries to understand like from a analytical level, even if you're just enjoying it, you felt something. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you feel music the way that most people would like to think that they feel music, when you heard Come Back to Me, you felt something. We all did. And I think it really did kind of set the tone back in the tour for what was to come. But I also think it sets the tone to understand that Namjoon will always go through a cycle. I don't think he'll ever be out of that cycle of just like, and I don't mean to be morbid, but I think that just the way that Namjoon is and his mind is, and the way that he overthinks and he's over analytical and he is someone who's a perfectionist, he will always kind of battle with the cycle of, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Am I supposed to be doing this? Do they still love me? Am I still relevant? Whatever. He will go through those cycles. But the fact that he still wants that to come back, the fact that he wants to put up with it because he enjoys what he does and he knows what he does to, like, what he gives to his fans and what he gives as far as like when it comes to BTS, it's hopeful. It's like the classic Shakespearean tale, you know, and I don't think any Shakespearean book ever ended in happiness, but you read them because there is beauty in tragedy at the end of the day. And I think Namjoon is a in real life representation of what it looks like to have a beautifully tragic life and make the best of it. And I know that's morbid, and I know that can be very sad to think about, but he's doing it in stride. He's handling it well. And I hope that he gets all of the things that he deserves. And I hope that people who really fuck with him continue to fuck with him. And those who are open to his journey will continue to let him grow and be there for the ride. Because, you know, that's our job. That's our job as fans, is to be there for the ride. But yeah, man, Come Back to Me it's not even a favorite to me. It's just, it can't be a favorite for me as far as just like because it surpasses that for me. Like, it's almost like saying it's too good. It's too good of a thing to put it it has to be in its own section. It has to be in its own category. I would think Come Back to Me is rivaling some of his best work. Like, I can't compare it to anything right now, because like I would say my favorite Namjoon song would probably be Tokyo. It's probably my favorite Namjoon song.
I really
and
like
it's rivaling. Yeah, it's rivaling that for me. Like, it's up there. That's saying something, because Tokyo takes such supremacy in my heart when it comes to Namjoon's music. So yeah, saying a lot, but yeah. All right, Simone, come on, give us your tearful analysis.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm gonna try my best. I'm glad y'all talked about it in the Namjoon sense for me, just because like I don't even know how to start this, because like I try to be careful when I say this, because like when I did get into BTS, if I am going to be honest, it was because of Namjoon. Um I think I've talked about on this podcast before, like I listened I'm pretty sure memories can play a trick on you, but I'm pretty sure I listened to or tried to listen to a majority of like his solo music that I knew of at the time before I even finished like BTS's music as a group. So that kind of just shows the draw I had to him. And like I didn't know why, because like I never felt like this for one, a celebrity, because let's be honest, I was always the person and still kind of am like I really don't care about celebrities. A lot of the time I think a lot of them are fake. Um, the money thing, all that good stuff. And I wasn't really into music. So like my whole journey with BTS has been very interesting. Um, Never thought I see myself as a fangirl, especially coming in so late. So, like, I was also worried about that, about the stigma of fangirls. But, like, something about, yes, the group, because I am glad I stayed and got to know the group a little bit better. But, like, something about him specifically drew me. And, like, I guess I just see a lot of similarities I didn't know that I had with Namjoon in certain ways. Or me probably just being around people like him. But I just think, like, personality wise and like even if we're going through like different things like in our lives, again he's on a different level, but it's like for some reason, especially when I discovered them, because I discovered them when I was in college. So I had just started college, but I was like in university, like I did the community college, got my AA, and then was going to university to get my bachelor. So like I was already in kind of that sense feeling a sense of loss of like trying to figure out who I was as a person, being away from home kind of like that for the first time, and then like the societal pressure of like, okay, I'm in college, I'm getting a degree, and then trying to see like where my life will take me after that. So like I do thank BTS a lot for helping me get through college. I kind of talked about this a little bit in their Festa, that episode I did with my friend Macy, because like you, Shay, and I had said this to you before too, like I understood where you're coming from, and I kind of had to sit there before like I responded to you to let you know my feelings, because I was like, I didn't know how to take it, but then I had to sit there. I'm like, it's probably because I've already been through these emotions. So like I had already mourned the death of the BTS I never knew um during the Festa dinner of 2022, but I also had a like I went through a period of also self-blaming myself as a fan, because like in the beginning of 2022, and especially when I did like my episode talking about when I went to go see them for Permission to Dance, I kept saying like they're gonna go on tour, they're probably gonna go on tour. And then when the Festa dinner came out, I was like, oh, like is it also am I also the type of fan where I feel like I'm pushing this expectation on them to where they feel like they can't say no and they need to fulfill that expectation? Um, I'm trying to figure out how to say this without getting too emotional, guys. So like forgive me if I seem like I'm rambling, but I already
You let it
went through
flow,
that.
girl. Let it flow.
Yeah, I already went through that. So I was kind of like, and you'll hear me say this a lot, even in like TikTok videos or when I talk to people. It's like, I think I've gotten to the point of doing that mourning towards like, I just want to be here for them, like whatever journey they bring me on. So, like, to answer Jen's question earlier, like, I do see myself still sticking here, like, until what? Maybe 80s. I don't know. Maybe I think BTS will be like the Beatles are to some people, or like how Michael Jackson is to some people. For me, I don't think I will ever let them go, and I will be for them here for them as long as I can be. Voice is already doing it. I just want to be here for them. And it's really weird for me, and I can't explain this feeling either of like just wanting to see people I've never met, who don't even know I exist. And it's like I just want them to be happy, whatever that looks like, whatever it is, a relationship, another job, this job, like I just want them so badly just to receive the happiness that they were able to give me. Because I do feel like they've changed my life a lot, and just like not only finding happiness, but like open myself up to new cultures. Cause that's another thing too. I've talked about how I discovered 21 earlier on, but like I didn't give them a chance. Well, one, I didn't know they were K-pop because the song I discovered them on, they were singing in English. But it's like it didn't take me till after high school to watch anime, because I was that person's like, it's in a language and in a culture I don't understand. Why would I invest myself in that? Because I can't like relate to it, you know? So I'm glad I grew out of that to just be like, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we are all still human. And I do wish more people, I'm just gonna say it, I don't care, especially in K-pop or BTS Army, it doesn't matter. I do wish more people did take the time to like, you don't have to be a master in Korean language. You don't even have to be a master in Korean culture, but just to like try to learn at least a baseline so you can understand where they come from too. Because I think that's where a lot of things get mistranslated when problems arise, like we saw with the whole Hybe and Mihyunjin happening, or just things that happen with BTS, where like on an international standpoint, we would see it one way, but like things would also get lost in translation that we just didn't know. Um, and that's why it always annoyed me, like when I would see comments of them like speaking English, and why I also give like our fan translators who are going through something right now of like trying to get run off the internet, because they truly were the bridge for international armies for BTS to like not only help us translate the lyrics, but like give a deeper cultural meaning to some of the words and some of the things they may be saying that even the company themselves don't do. Like Big Hit didn't start subbing things until 2019. So like I can only imagine what the people before were like going through as far as like finding a connection, but they were still even able to find that regardless of if they found like detailed, deep translations of BTS's songs and meanings and lyrics. But that is a big like help to like, or a big thank you to the army translators that we have who take the time out of their day, night, whatever time it may be, rush to a like computer to get on social media for free to help connect BTS to the rest of us. So I'm always going to like give them their thanks for that in general. And I know times
We
are
love
changing
our
because
army translators for
we
sure.
love our army translators over here. I will ride and die for some of the translators, especially the ones that are well known. Y'all need to leave Haru Haru on Twitter alone, okay?
Period.
Just one of them because yeah, anyway. So like very long-winded as well, trying to go back to come back to me. Again, when I was discovering BTS and like Namjoon's mixtape that I always go back to, I think spoke to me, especially at the age I was back then, which was 21. Yeah. So then when Mono came, I actually wasn't expecting that because I was still trying to learn about BTS. So like I do remember um the fire alarm went off at my dorm and I was outside. So I was like, oh, let me go ahead and watch this music video. And like I was trying not to cry outside where others can see me because I was like, I just wasn't expecting it. I didn't know how to handle it. But I think that also helped me because that was like my top album in 2019. Cause again, it just helped me go through those like feelings that Mono talked about that I guess I didn't want to accept. I was also going through in college to trying to discover myself. So here now in like 2024 with Right Place, Wrong Person, it kind of brought me to, again, I am 27 now and I'm younger than all of you, so I'm still like in my late 20s.
I feel like that was a shot, but it's okay.
It
We're gonna
was
let you
not a
have it.
shot. I'm just trying to let you know where I am in my life. But thank you. Um, I mean, anyway, I am still going through those societal pressures and like questions of like, what am I going to do with my life? But also with like the pandemic and the multiple genocides we're going through, I'm also questioning like, does any of this truly matters? So I've been going through that a lot, and it's like when Come Back to Me, when I watched it, I feel like I was seeing that represented before me of like what could have been. I've kind of talked about it before, but like before the pandemic hit, I actually was really close to getting an internship on the Jimmy Fallon show. And then the pandemic literally hit. So like I don't know if I didn't get it because of the pandemic or if I would have gotten it if the pandemic didn't happen. And it's like trying to think about where my life would have been if that did happen. So that's another reason why I think not only just like this album, but like Come Back to Me hit me so hard because like I do feel like I personally am in that first part of the music video where he's kind of just like going through the motions and everything's like happening around him. And it's like feeling kind of like you're stuck and in a place. that you can't really escape out of. And I know for me is when I started bawling is the switch up of like when he kind of accepts the like place that he's in. Like me personally in my life, I have not reached that yet. So I think that's why I had a very big visual visceral, is that the word I'm looking for? Reaction to not only the song but of the music video because it's really weird and yell at Namjoon all the time to like get out of my head. It's like really weird how someone again I've never met doesn't know I exist, but like he makes music that like speaks to me in a time of my life that I didn't know I needed to hear. So I don't know if I'll get to the place like soon of like the being able to go through the door. I would like to. Um, but yeah, that was just kind of my reaction, not only just with like Namjoon and BTS, but personally, that's what it kind of brought out in me. Cause I think this is the first time we're talking about like how we interpret things. And I think Namjoon has said before in Mono, once he releases music, it's like up to the listener of how they interpret things. So that was my interpretation. It truly made me like reflect on my life. And like, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't like what I was reflecting on. So yeah, also just part of the healing journey for me
That's
that I
part.
will
That's part of the human experience for sure.
get there. And
Everything's
I
not
also,
always something that you like, you know.
yeah. And also not being in like therapy, but like I'm gonna be awesome, honestly real, especially with the state that I live in Florida. I just with the issues I have, and I've talked about some of them too, like me not having a relationship with my mom and stuff, it I feel like I do need like someone who is black and a woman because I do have a lot of identity issues when it comes to just being a black woman and not really having any black woman in my life to like help me navigate the world as a black woman. So, but yeah, it's kind of just taking the healing journey on my own. So I did it without crying. I'm so sorry if that just sounded like word vomit. But
Yay! No, it did
at,
not. You
yeah,
did well.
at the end of the day, it's just like I've just gotten to the point where like I just want them to be happy, and that can be interpreted in anything, but just like yeah, and especially with Namjoon, just like as we've talked about, like I really don't know where I would have been in my life like if I did not have him. So like the world does need him here, and I do hope he has found people to let him know that like hey, even if you weren't BTS Kim Namjoon, like you are important, you matter, and like you are meant to be here in whatever religion or like whatever belief you think. It's like you are here. None of us asked us to be here. None of us asked us to be born, but like you're doing a good job. I just need more people to like just tell him he's doing a good job. So yeah. I just feel a lot for him that's really hard for me to explain. So it's not even just like, because I know people are always talking about like how you define your bias. And like, yes, a lot of the time it is because like you find them hot and attractive. And again, I will scream to the rooftop of how attractive I am to Namjoon and how like he's the hottest man in the world to me. But it does go deeper than that for me. So yeah, I was a low key. Hope he never hears this.
Good job, Simone.
Namjoon, find a good ride, okay?
What'd you say, Gina?
Namjoon, find a good ride.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
gotta ride it out sometimes.
He's all
Well,
about
yeah.
a good ride now.
I mean, you know,
Well, we know, Gina.
Oh my God, we did it. We made it to the end. Oh my God.
We did.
because
Oh my
my husband
God.
literally texted me that it's time for
It
dinner.
only took 6 hours.
This was epic.
Yes, I will do my normal podcasting closing in a different audio when I'm editing. So like thank you guys again for taking this very long like
Listen,
dissection of
would've did it all
Namjoon
again if
and
I
his
had
album
to.
for me.
hell yeah.
I appreciate you guys a lot. I'm very happy I've met you guys and like can call you guys friends now. Even big sisters as well. Like I've always told Gina recently, like I started to look to her like as a big sister, and I feel the same about Shay and Jen as well. So I'm just really
Oh,
happy, like, the
absolutely.
universe has brought me to you
You
guys.
might want to call my sister and make sure you really want that to be a thing, because I don't know. They might not
Okay.
give me a good review or reference. So I'm just saying.
I'm sure they still love you at the end of the day. It's fine.
I mean, yeah.
But any closing thoughts about the album overall? Like I said, I think this is my favorite Namjoon project. This honestly might be my favorite. Like, out of the solos, I'm not sure yet. I still have a tight grip on like Indigo and Jack in the Box, but it's definitely creeping up there. So any closing thoughts about like the album in general? And then y'all can shout out your social medias and we can get up the heck out of here, because it's been a long day.
What?
We had a lot to say.
There been a work day.
It's pretty much.
Yeah, this was
Tune
a shift.
in.
I feel bad I can't pay y'all for this, but
No, no. This is spaces like this are so, I think, very important. And uh just like Namjoon, we're all in a healing journey, and we've all been through things, currently going through things. So I appreciate thank you for having us, and I hope that other people get something from this. If you're not somebody who deep dives into BTS's discography, because maybe you're in this for whatever reason that you're in it for. This is not there's no judgment here. But if you are somebody who's trying to connect with the music more, I think it helps to listen to other fans who do the same, other fans who have things to say, who do want to find the meanings behind things and understand deeper, because it opens your eyes to what they're trying to tell you, and you see them differently. So I guess in closing for the album, okay, I'll keep repeating, I'm so grateful for this album and the honesty. And it's helped me, see that vulnerability is okay. I still struggle with being vulnerable with people, with the world, even as somebody who puts herself on social media. I have a lot of imposter syndrome. I think Namjoon has suffered with that too. And just to know that somebody who I look up to so much, and the fact that he's so much younger than me and I look up to him is crazy, but someone I look up to so much, I just want him and the other members of BTS, I hope that they just know that there are people like ourselves and so many others more whose lives they truly do shift and change and mold and improve. And it's not about putting all your stuff into BTS, like, oh, like people make these comments like, don't depend on them, don't let them be your only source of happiness. And I agree with that. I don't think that's what it is. I think it's okay to have something that gives you that boost. I've said it before. If BTS are what gets you out of bed in the morning, then I celebrate that with you. If BTS are what, encourage you to go for that job that you weren't going to go for, I celebrate that. I support that. What is wrong with, calling these people idols? That title of an idol, if you're going to be somebody's idol, why can't you hold that kind of um, encouragement in your fans' life? It for me, I just truly have enjoyed. I didn't think Military Enlistment was going to be an easy time, and it hasn't been, but they have helped by giving us amazing music, content, and just it's like they never left in a sense. So for that, I will end with just saying thank you, Kim Namjoon, for consistently being the GOAT. So I'll never let you hosts forget that. Okay. And that's it.
You want to shout out social media before the others go?
Oh, sure.
Where you want to be found, if you want to be found.
I think it's too late for me. No, but if anybody wants to follow my socials, I predominantly am on TikTok at Afrocentricity. And it's a K-pop account, but BTS are the predominant content that I talk about. It's a place to have fun and enjoy yourself. And so yeah, feel free to follow me on TikTok. And I am on Instagram at Afrocentricity, but I barely post on there. It's mainly for like, DMs and stuff. And that's something I do try to keep my DMs open if people, you know, fans need anything. I think we should all create community. So it's important for us to open ourselves up to each other. And, one day I think Army will get to a good place. I think we're getting there. So yeah, please, yeah, feel free to follow. Thank you, Simone. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm not sure if you want to hop off or not. I know it's very late for you while the others do, or if you want to listen to their closing too. It's up to you.
I'll stay for the closings.
Okay.
Go, girl.
Gina, do you want to go next? Because I know you're also being pressed to go.
Yes. I am really grateful that Namjoon made this album, and actually it came out when it did. I think he spoke a lot of things that were very important to him. And I think as a leader, showing that you're only human is really important. Humility in general and being humbled by your humanity is very important. And as a leader, it makes it so that you're understood better. And as I said before, strength isn't necessarily being strong all the time. It's being okay with yourself and allowing yourself to feel your feelings and to cry if you need to and share the things that hurt. Because one of the things as humans that we can all relate to is pain. We've all had some version of it. And I think Namjoon continues to show that, yes, I'm someone to look up to, but you shouldn't really put everything on me either, because we all as humans have to find our own journeys. And it's okay to have separate journeys because we all come back together. And I think having this message to come close to FESTA, it's a reminder that like we are coming together again. Like the first of the 7 is coming back in a matter of hours. In a few days, we're going to have the beginning again. Like the new chapter is going to start. And I think having Namjoon kind of bring us to a full circle and say, okay, I've gotten to the point where I'm finding the energy to start again, to begin again, is so important. And I think too, it gives us hope. And I think, bringing back to what J-Hope has always said about his name, hope was left in Pandora's box. And I think there's always a reason for that, because you have to hold on to something. You can't keep holding on to pain. You can't keep holding on to regrets. You have to hold on to something more positive. And so I really do thank him for that, because coming into FESTA, I was a little nervous because I'm like, am I going to be a little sad? And I actually have been so uplifted this FESTA. And I'm grateful that this album kind of pushed me into deeper thinking about myself and my own journey and my journey with BTS and where I would like to continue to go and grow with them. And as long as they're happy, I will be happy. And that is like full circle too. But I really am so excited too for the members who will be coming back to us this year, because I always feel like these men never come empty-handed. They may come back, but they never come with empty hands. They always have something cooking in their pots. And I know that only good can be coming now. We're going to get so many new things, and we're going to get to see their growth that we haven't gotten to see, because the military, of course, does not share that, and they shouldn't feel like they're pressured to share it. But if they want to share some things with us through their art, I'm ready to listen. I'm always ready to listen. And if you want to see me probably have mental breakdowns, you can come see me on TikTok at Jin Inspire, which is GIN and then Spire 22. I will probably be talking about books too, because that's how I cope when I'm big sad. I read a lot. So you'll probably hear me rambling about books, but also about the fact that these men are coming back. And when they share music, I always try to like share my interpretations too and link it to something book related when I can. So if you want to come hang out and nerd out with me, and be vulnerable, then you can come visit me on socials.
All right, Big Shay, last but not least.
Yeah, y'all would save me for last, the long-winded of a story. All right, so I guess to close out just the whole June's album. June is an artist. Yoongi is my bias, but June is like legit my favorite artist. He is someone that I think speaks to all of my experiences. I feel like no experience is just so unique. I see things like this all the time on the internet where people are like, no, none of us have unique experiences. I mean, something like you think that you're the only one that goes through it. You see somebody going through it like, oh, this must be universal experiences. And I'm glad that he is vulnerable enough to let us in as much as he has over the years, whether it's good, bad, ugly, depressing. I mean, again, beauty and tragedy. I mean, some of the most beautiful things we have come with a huge backstory and a lot of pain, a lot of struggle. Almost like a rose in the concrete type situation, you know? But overall, this album definitely, for me, it just signifies kind of like the end. The end of what we've known of him, kind of like closing that final chapter on all of the past. I don't think we'll hear much from this point on about the things that plagued him in his 20s. I don't see, even though he is a Virgo through and through, I don't think he is someone that is going to continue to beat a dead horse. I think Namjoon is going to be moving forward. I hope that he does that in the best stride that he's been doing these last, 10 years of his career. This album, though, for me, it made me remember. It just makes me remember. It just gives me it gives me just a very solid feeling, almost in my groin, if you will, that I have put good faith in a good human. It's hard to trust people that you don't know. It's hard to trust anything that we see, and everything's always made out to be like it's a facade or it's not genuine, or he's just doing things for the fame, or like we talked about how like Jay Park does stuff for the reaction. Namjoon does never, none of them, but Namjoon has never came off as disingenuine to me, and it shines the brightest in his music. He is a poet that just happens to have took his poetry and made it a career, made it something that makes him money, but more than that, made it something that he can walk through his life with and leave traces of himself behind. So I'm happy to pick up the pieces of the traces that he's left for us, and digest them and to think deeply upon them. I think he deserves that. I think as an artist, he deserves as his fans and as people who support him, like our deepest thoughts and ponderings. He puts a lot, not that they all don't, but he puts a lot of work and a lot of his self into his projects. And he is definitely a role model, I think, not only to us, but to his members. Like he does kind of set the tone, I think, and allows himself to be kind of put on a chopping block to see what is going to be acceptable. And then the other members seem to follow suit. I think they all do really well with one another when it comes to that. But I think Namjoon really does give it's an okay, it's okay. We can do this. We can be like this. We can say these things. We can have these fears. It's okay. He just really, as much as he tries to fight the dad allegations, boy, he is the most dad member, I feel like sometimes, but I find a lot of comfort in June. I find a lot of comfort in knowing that he will forever be someone who is transparent with us, whether we like it or not, whether we agree or not, whether we want to hear it or not. he's never going to be somebody that's going to give us something that he doesn't truly believe in when it comes to his art. And I appreciate that. And y'all know me, I fucking appreciate genuine shit. So I will forever rock with Mr. Kim Namjoon. He will forever be my president. And that's that on that. As far as the socials go, I'm fake when it comes to the social media shit. I don't do it very well. But if you like to follow me and get my posts once a month, I guess, I'm at what Shay said, or maybe it is at Shay Speaks _OT7. I don't know which one it actually is. Either one, you'll probably be able to find me. I reside mostly on TikTok, and again, I'm a fake influencer, so just know that. I don't follow through with much, but that's where I normally am, and I'd love to have you as long as you ain't an asshole. So there you go.
Yeah, Shay will definitely, if you try to troll her, just don't even try it. But
I live for the shit. Gives me adrenaline.
Well, like I said, thank you guys again for being on here with me. Pretty much spending all your day with me. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you for having us, man.
Of course. I knew when I wanted to talk about Namjoon's album, like it just had to be you guys. Like, because I did ask Gina at first, but like I was thinking of Jen and Shay, and I was kind of nervous. I was like, do you think they want to do it? Or like, I know, again, Shay, don't even start. Okay, I know.
Yes.
So thank you again for coming. And you are welcome back anytime, whether it's about BTS, whether it's about anything else. I also review K-dramas and TV shows. So if there's like a TV show you want to come and talk about for 6 hours, just let me know and we can slate time for that. But
I would love that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, or even anime. I'm trying to get back into like reviewing my anime. The only one we did was Attack on Titans with my brother in just the first season. I have to see if he wants to come back. I know it's way over, but we'll see. But yeah, I will let y'all go to continue on enjoying your lives. Enjoy your evening. Thank you guys for listening to us.
Thank you,
Yes. You guys have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to the pod.
Right.
Bye.
Bye.